Hello, hola, como estas, Slow Baja amigos? My heaping dose of gratitude today goes out to Christopher Kaiser. You've heard that name before. He edits the show. He makes it sound better than it should. And recently, Christopher and his wife moved to Huntington Beach, and that is just a damn convenient spot to spend the night when you're driving an old Land Cruiser down from San Francisco down to Ensenada for the Nora 500. And on my recent trip, Christopher put me up, cooked me a fabulous meal, let me drink up all of his Fortaleza Still Strength, and in the morning, well, he's a coffee freak, fired up his espresso machine, slung a couple cappuccinos at me, got me all jacked up for the day and for the drive, and I got down the PCH and was having breakfast with my son and his girlfriend in Corona del Mar, and I realized that I had just forgotten these ice packs, these vital pieces of equipment. I've got 2 broken elbows, and Christopher had picked up a couple of old school ice packs for me, and I left them in his freezer. Sent him a text. He jumped on his motorcycle, hustled them on down, and I can't thank him enough. Liked him so well that I spent the night there on my way back. So Christopher Kaiser, thank you. I've got a couple other folks to thank. I recently checked in on the iTunes reviews, and Garple Stumple. I've been listening since day one. Thank you, Garple Stumple. Ryan and Baja, the only podcast I listen to. Come on, Ryan. Well, don't go changing, Ryan. It's a good podcast to listen to. Hefe 24, hands down, my favorite podcast. I see what you're doing there, Hefe 24. Hands down, my favorite tequila. Hands down, my favorite podcast. Yeah, I like that. Hefe 24. Love this show. The Great Fuzzy Henhouse. The Dirty OB Hippie says, Mary McGee episode, an incredible story that should be made into a movie. Well, I saw Mary, and I agree 1,000%. She was down as the Grand Marshal of the Nora 500, and she was traveling with a documentary filmmaker, Haley Watson, who is shooting a little documentary on Mary. I kind of believe that Mary's story is so good it could be like a feature length. Maybe Nicole Kidman plays Mary McGee. Busted Knee Adventures, he loves the old-timers, and you know what? Busted Knee Adventures, me too, amigo. Me too. I need an old-timer sponsor that just lets me bring a steady stream of old-timer content. Folks who are in their 80s who can laugh at themselves and laugh at all the silly things they did in Baja in the 60s and 70s. That would be awesome. Hey, today's show is with Matthew Schnitzer, Barbers for Baja, and Matthew cuts hair at the Kings Club Barbershop in Dana Point, Southern Orange County, and got together with some of his fellow barbers, and they did a big toy drive, and they loaded up an entire Sprinter van of toys for the holidays a couple years ago, and made a whole bunch of kids happy, and that process really made him think, like, hey, what more can we do? What can we do that's really, like, seriously life-changing? Just, much more than just a toy at the holidays. And it got him onto an idea that for not very much money, they could be, relative to here anyways, they could be sending kids to college in Baja, and they figured it out, and they got the program started, and they're sending a bunch of kids to college now. But one of them that really stands out to me is they have a young woman from San Juanico who is studying to be a dentist, and when she graduates from dental school, they are actually going to build her a dental clinic, and then she's going to do some work, have some community days where she will pay it forward, or pay it back, or pay it however, and take care of some folks in her own community that just don't have the means to afford dental work. So I think that's just an amazing story. Jesse and his wife, there's no overhead. They make these amazing things happen. Barbers for Baja, check them out. And without further ado, today's show. I'll be back with something fun next week, but Barbers for Baja, if you've got some change jingle in your pocket, you can pick up one of their gift boxes. You can make a donation. They're going to be a 501c3 soon, and again, no overhead. Every dime you drop goes straight into their projects in Baja. So without further ado, Matthew Schnitzer, Barbers for Baja.
Hey, this is Michael Emery. Thanks for tuning into the Slow Baja. This podcast is powered by Tequila Fortaleza, handmade in small batches, and hands down, my favorite tequila.
Hey, I want to tell you about your new must-have accessory for your next Baja trip. Benchmark Maps has released a beautiful
beautiful Baja California Road and Recreation Atlas. It's a 72-page, large format book of detailed maps and recreation guides that makes the perfect planning tool for exploring Baja. Pick yours up at benchmarkmaps.com. Hey, it's Slow Baja, and I'm in beautiful San Clemente at Matthew Schnitzer's home. We're going to talk Barbers for Baja and the great work you're doing there. I'm sipping a little Fortaleza Reposado, and I just can't wait to get into the great work you guys have been doing and share your story with the Slow Baja world. So Matthew, say hello.
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for inviting me. It's good to see you finally at your house. We've been talking about doing this podcast for quite a bit.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, and I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Well, let's just jump into it. You're from San Clemente.
San Juan. We're in San Juan, but either way, San Clemente, San Juan. It's a little triangle here. Close enough.
It's the nucleus of the Slow Baja world, I think.
Yep.
This is where all the Slow Baja listeners are.
Good. So yeah, we're here in South Orange County. I grew up in Laguna Niguel, born and raised in the area, and I've been a barber now for 11 years. I work in Dana Point at the Kings Club Barbershop.
And was it just you couldn't get into the firehouse? Was that the problem? You got the mustache.
No,
you're in the right part.
I don't know. It kind of just came to me when I was in high school, and I was like, I loved the barbershop and everything about it, and I jumped right into it. Didn't waste a day. So.
Well, I'm sorry. I shouldn't be a smartass right off the gun, but I always say that the nucleus of the Slow Baja listener, when I'm thinking about who listens to this show, the four people that I can think of are firefighters in San Clemente and San Juan Capistrano. That's the core. These are the people who have the windshield time, who are driving to Baja every other weekend, it seems like. And anyways, let's get on to more serious subjects. You're a Southern Orange County kid.
Yep.
So let's talk about how you first got going to Baja.
Well, yeah, growing up in South Orange County, did a handful of trips south with the family growing up. Pretty much nothing south of Ensenada. We would, run down to Rosarito, do a couple trips to San Felipe as a kid. Occasionally had a baseball tournament close to the border in San Diego. We would, after the tournament, jam down for tacos, and parents would be drinking beers and doing that, occasionally a couple times a year. But really didn't start traveling down south until I met my wife. But yeah, when we started dating is when I would say chapter one for me is when Baja really started taking off. Her parents have had a place down in Mexico on and off. Before they had kids, they lived down there. When she grew up, she'd come home on a Friday, note with the parents, $20, hey, order some pizzas, we're down in Mexico for the weekend. So wow. She's grown up, every birthday celebrated down there. That's always been, her family has had a second property or rented something down there for forever. So when we started dating, it started going, whether it was once a month or every other month, we started going down to see them or hang down in Mexico. So that's where I would say things kind of got started for me.
So is there any part of your dating where she needed a guy with Century and you needed a gal who wanted to get a surfboard into the water?
Yeah, so fortunately, we actually didn't get qualified for Century till after we were married. So that's when I knew it was worth her. She wanted to keep me, It wasn't just using me for Century.
All right. Well, so you're decided to become a barber. You've got an affinity for Baja to start with your girlfriend and her family and their passion for the place. When did you decide that you could do something? I mean, not everybody decides that they need to affect change where they're going on vacation, essentially, where they're hanging out. But since our very first meeting, I've been astonished at the passion and the persistence of the work that Barbers for Baja are doing. So when did you decide, like, hey, I'm going to do something about XYZ, and then put that plan into motion and then rope in your other barber buddies into creating this this loosely knit, I'm sure it's loosely knit in the beginning, but I think it's becoming a real thing now.
For sure. So, yeah, things happen very fast, all in a good way. But I would say, kind of maybe the first thing that kind of set things in stone when we got married in Valle de Guadalupe in 2016. And one thing that we really were looking for was having a Mexican owned and operated winery be home. We wanted to keep the money in Mexico. So I think whether I even knew that or not, that was, I think, maybe something that stuck with me. But as we spent more and more time down there, and one thing from whether it was taking a pair of shoes or some leftover clothes or new clothes down to a family or a friend down there, one thing kind of just led into another with how our project grew.
And so
2019 we kicked off a toy drive at the Kings Club Barbershop.
And how many barbers are in the Kings Club?
So we've got 4 of us. My boss is Mike. He started the shop. It's been there for 16 years now. Avid surfer, avid Baja lover himself. The last 5 years, we've traveled down to San Juanico together, and that's become kind of a big trip we do. And then, 2 other barbers, Scotty and Tanner. So there's 4 of us there. So 2019, we did a toy drive during the holiday season, collected toys. We took them down to the town of La Mision, which is just touch north of Ensenada, kind of the hub where my in-laws live now full-time, right there. So that was where things kicked off. 2020, we included a couple barbershops, and it kind of got silly. We almost got too many toys, where we loaded up a big Sprinter van. We were stacked to the brims. We had to pay all these import fees on toys, and we're kind of like, hey, this is awesome, but what are we really doing here? We had a little bit of money left over that year. We had, I think, $2,000 that we decided to stop buying toys. We're like, okay, we did it. We had too many toys. We donated some to a school, and then one of our local families, his daughter wasn't going to continue community college. It was during COVID. Things were slow at work for him. It was $300 for her to finish out her schooling. So we were like, hey, let's pick this up. And that's where things clicked, where I was like, okay, we can do a little more than whether it be toys or clothes or this or that. It was, okay, let's focus on some education.
And let's back up for a second. Basically, you're leveraging your fellow barbers and their clients to say, hey, we're doing this, and somebody can flip you an extra $20 or an extra $50, or somebody's generous, they give you $100, and you're buying toys.
Yep. So that's, or they bought in toys. So vice versa. Whatever.
And then you are successful enough that you have a Sprinter van full of these toys, and you had the great experience of crossing in and then having to pay import duties and all that, go through that process.
Yep, which is a whole other side of Mexico.
I've recently had 2 experiences in that arena, which we won't go into, but that sucks.
Yeah. So, and that was the other thing is, what are we, all this time and effort, whether it's our clients, whether it's us, we decided, hey, let's branch into something else. And further, I think, like I said, into the education stuff. So that was 2020. 2021 is when we made our box sets that we sold over the holiday season, and that's where things went kind of bananas a little bit.
And let's talk about the box sets. Who reached out to whom, and how did you get the companies involved to donate their products to create these box sets that then you sold to your clients and took the money?
So the box sets consist of a shirt that's printed by Stussy, a pair of socks that are made by Stance, which is a local company here, and then the pomades Uppercut, which is a cool pomade company that's in the area also, based out of Australia, but they're set up in Oceanside. So they're all clients. I mean, the pomade's pomade, but the Stussy and Stance, they're all guys that come in the barbershop. So
you're cutting an exec at Stussy.
The guy, Frank, he owns the company. Okay. He is the company. So, so I started, I pitched to Frank. I go, hey, will you print me blanks at cost, and I'll sell them, and we'll take the money down there. He goes, I'm going to print you 1,000 shirts. Don't worry about it.
Amazing.
So that's where things started. And then from there I go, okay, what else can I rally up? So I kind of created this box set and, pitched it. And I told my buddies that I went to barber school with, hey, it's going to cost you nothing. I'm going to show up. I'll drop them off. I'm going to package them. All you got to do is try and sell them. If you sell That's one more than I would have sold at my shop. So we put together about 800 of them, and we sold, through most of them. So we ended up raising just about 50 grand last year. So
and that blows me away.
Yeah. So things went from toys to 50K in a year, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So,
and is that you and Jesse here piled up with, putting the socks, rolling them up nicely and folding the t-shirts?
So
or is it you and your fellow barbers?
I guess we should backstory here.
Yeah.
My wife is the backbone of all of that. She hand packaged pretty much every single one because I can't do it right myself. So I would like to say thank you to her for...
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, so my wife handles all the social media, all the back of the house stuff. I get most of the fame and the fortune in the front of the house. But yeah, she's the backbone in packaging up all that stuff for the barbershops. But yeah, so we crushed it our first year out and kind of no proof of concept. And so then it was like, okay, now we've got a bunch of dough. What does that look like?
Yeah,
so,
what do you do next? What a burden. A great success. But
totally.
Now let's do something really meaningful.
Yeah. So from there, that first student that I talked about helping out with her community college, she was our first student. So she's now in Ensenada becoming a nurse. Her name's Daniela. So she was our first kind of student of how things kicked off. At the moment, we have 7 students in our program, a future doctor, nurse, 2 dentists, an engineer, a teacher, and a lawyer. I think I hit 7 there. And then as we move into 23, we'll have 15 in our program. So things are growing, which is really, really exciting. And I think the big thing is all 15 kids we can cover for about $34,000. So high-level education, some of them being private schools that they're going to. So for listeners out there, the money goes a really, really long way.
And coming from San Francisco, you can send your kindergartner to private school for $30,000 a year.
Totally.
I think I may be a little facetious. That number may be a little high, but that might not be too far off the mark. Certainly, you can go to high school in San Francisco for $30,000 a year. So you're sending 15 students
for
covering their
price.
Education and living expenses and other. Are you looking how what's the extent of the needs you're meeting?
So things, they've been loose, and now as we've collected a lot of money and we're becoming more of a structured program. We're getting our nonprofit status, 501c, should be, knock on wood, here before the end of the year. But yeah, so we have covered schooling and tools or supplies depending on what they're in school for. Our dental students, we've helped them with certain things that they need for clinics and that sort of stuff. The doctor students, same thing. I think moving forward, it's pretty much just going to be, scholarship based, just the schooling that we'll take care of.
And I think in our last conversation, you were talking to me about some fairly ambitious projects because, again, early students on, but building a dental clinic in San Juanico.
Yeah. So, and we can get into the dental clinic. 2 of the other things that we do, I work with a lady who runs Baja Bridges, which is all things bomberos. So I help her out with getting stuff across the border as far as, if she's getting a rig across, ambulance, etc. So when I met her, she's like, hey, you've got some dental students. I know some dentists in America who build clinics in Mexico. Let's connect the dots. Fast forward, the plan is we're going to build a clinic in San Juanico, and we're going to build one in La Mision, which is where both of our dental students are from. So they both will graduate at the end of 23, and then they have one gap year where they go, the school puts them somewhere in Baja, where they work for the school basically, and then after that they're free to do what they want. So we've got roughly 2 years to figure out that whole endeavor. But what's exciting is these gentlemen, they've built clinics in Mulegé. They have worked, all through Mexico. So they're ambitious and they're excited about my program because they haven't done something like this in regards to the clinic will be built for a kid that lives in that town. So 1, the town doesn't have a dentist. So that's huge. But 2, we're helping the kid get through school, and then after that, they will have a career set up. The town's going to benefit. The people are going to benefit. And then part of the agreement, the American dentist can fly in, let's say twice, 3 times a year, and use the clinic for those who can't afford. So they'll do free clinics. So that Barbers For Baja will help pay for that as well. So a lot of good going on with that stuff.
Yeah, a lot of good. Here at Slow Baja, we can't wait to drive our old Land Cruiser south of the border. And when we go, we'll be going with Baja Bound Insurance. Their website's fast and easy to use. Check them out at bajabound.com. That's bajabound.com, serving Mexico travelers since 1994. A lot of good. It's astonishing to me how a couple of, and I'm not putting this lightly, folks, how a couple of barbers cutting hair in Dana Point can say, hey, let's do this, and then we're going to do that, and then the dominoes start falling, and you're really doing some ambitious stuff.
Well, and I think what's so cool about it is, I mean, I don't know what I'm doing. We're just kind of,
exactly,
we're just doing it.
But you're doing it from your heart.
Totally. And what's nice is the rules are loose. I mean, obviously like I said, our structure's getting more built out as we go, but I think keeping it fun, keeping it in that realm, and, hopefully not saying no. That's kind of the big thing too. So
what's the plan for this year for the holidays? Are you doing another box?
Yeah, so the box sets will be coming out November 1st. So we'll do same exact format. November 1st to January 1st, we will have the box sets for sale. I think they'll be in about 20 barbershops this year, mostly from LA to San Diego. I got a buddy in Utah, a friend in North Carolina, and a buddy in New York that'll be selling them this year too. We're going to do online sales, which we didn't do last year, just because, like I said, it's my wife and I didn't want to overwhelm myself. But yeah, same program. We have a new shirt with 4 different colorways. And then we have our own custom sock this year too, which will be really cool. So the box sets will be coming out. They're $50. And I think the biggest thing here, 100% of the money gets donated. So whether you buy a box for $50, whether you give us more, whatever that looks like, whether you give us $40, 100% of it's going to the cause, which is, I'm not taking any money out. There's no payroll. This is a 100% for-profit project. So I think that's, or not for-profit, excuse me, 100% donation.
Yeah, exactly.
So yes, the box sets will be coming out. Or I guess we're closing in on 3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
So
3 weeks. So by the time this podcast gets out, the boxes will be dropping, folks.
Yep. So you'll be able to, and you can follow on the social media and see where you could buy one, or you go to the Shopify page and pick one up there. But yeah, so the boxes will be coming out. The other fun thing we do is, being in South Orange County, we know a handful of surfboard shapers. They've been kind enough to donate their time. I think this year we'll have 5 surfboards in a raffle. So same thing, buy raffle tickets. All that money's going to the pot too. We did $50K last year. It might be ambitious. I would be stoked on seeing 6 figures. If we could rally $100,000 this year for the kids in Mexico, that would, whatever we do, I'm going to be happy with, and it's going to be a positive movement. But I'd be happy to double our efforts, which seems crazy. And we started out and this thing was crazy, so why not just keep it going big?
Yeah, definitely. Dream it, will it into being.
Yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit about the structure behind it. How many barbers are sitting here making decisions besides yourself?
Well, so currently it's pretty much just me and my wife, honestly.
Wow.
And not to boast or brag or any of that sort of stuff, but it's I couldn't do this without the other barbershops. Our shop sold a bunch of box sets, and a bunch of other barbershops sold a bunch too. So it is definitely a spider web effect in regards to everyone's doing their fair share. Don't get me wrong. But as far as, day-to-day contact with the students, emailing, kids applying, and us going through everything, that's all my wife and I.
Give me a little bit of background on the process. We've discussed it before when I saw you at the Baja Bound Expo. Tell me a little bit about the background of how the students get to you, how they apply for the program, and how that vetting works.
So a couple different ways. One, we do have an application page on our website that the kids have gone on and applied and fill out. Hey, I'm age school, where they go, where they're looking to go, where they live, so on and so forth, family background. But so yeah, my family's in the La Mision area. So I've befriended a lady there named Brenda who has, she's a elementary school teacher there. But she has helped me out in picking through some of the best students for, our program and what she sees fit to have kids, what students seem to be doing the best as they graduate through middle school into high school, and then for our program. So she kind of picked our first 3 students out of the La Mision area, and then the same thing for San Juanico. My buddy Nico that lives there, he's been a middleman as far as with medical gear and other supplies. I can call him and see what they need, but same thing with him. He's helped kind of filter through some students that, hey, not only are these kids working their butts off, and here's their grade reports to show that they're pretty dang perfect, but single mom, dad works their butt off, whatever it may be. Everyone needs help, but these are the real special kids who could use that extra bump of support. So they've been nice enough to help kind of assist with that.
So you're building a good network for folks to vet the kids that are coming your way.
Correct. Which has been super, super beneficial for me as an American, an outsider, to come in. And it's not just in Mexico, it could be anywhere. Hey, I've got money to give. Everyone's going to raise their hand. So you want to make sure that it's going to the right homes.
Absolutely.
So that's been a big, really, really big help there. And then we have another friend who lives in Ensenada. Her name's Erica, and she's helped us with our program as far as some of the wire transfers and sending money to the schools. Because that's a whole nother deal of sending money across the border and so on and so forth. So having some folks, Mexican citizens that are on board to help us out has been really, really huge. So thank you to everyone, Brenda, Nico, and Erica. Much, much appreciated.
So if you're able to double your fundraising, then you're going to double your students.
Well, we're going to double our students whether we double our fundraising or not. So like I said, the money, even if we do the same, we'll still be able to cover about double our students. I touched briefly on the Baja Bridges, doing the fire projects with her, which I'd love to continue to keep doing. Another organization we work with is called Hands to Hearts. They're based out of Constitution. They do life-saving treatment, CPR, stop the bleed. They go into rural communities and teach people how to basically take care of themselves. As traveling through Baja, there's a lot of areas that don't have a hospital, a clinic, and no medical, nothing.
No cell signal.
Totally.
You have an accident on the road. That's
yeah.
that.
So we've worked with them a bunch too. So I think that's kind of, like I said, we've got our medical avenues with Hands to Hearts and Baja Bridges. But I think the big thing is the college scholarships, and we just want to keep that growing into more and more kids as possible.
So Barbers for Baja is becoming a real force for good.
I think so.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's been a pretty killer project so far, and selfishly, I get to see firsthand going down there, chatting with the students, seeing the families, having some sit-down dinners and stuff, and how appreciative everyone is. And I truly couldn't do this alone. It is a community, whether it's all the other barbers involved that are helping out, and the clients. I mean, it's a group effort, which is really, really cool. So last year, our biggest donation was $1,000. So we raised $50K selling $50 boxes, which is pretty freaking sweet.
Yeah, that's really saying a lot.
Yeah.
Really saying a lot. And shout out to Stussy for printing those 1,000 t-shirts. What a great leg up on that. And then the socks and the pomade and some additions to the boxes this year, I'm assuming.
Yeah, couple sneak items. We'll have hats as well, printed from Stussy. Some stickers will be in there. Much requested stickers. Everyone loves stickers, stateside and Baja.
I ran out of stickers on this trip. First time ever. It's an important part of the game in Baja.
Totally.
Well, where's the best place for folks to find out about what you're doing?
Definitely Instagram, I would say, would be the best place to get a hold of us. Barbers For Baja is the handle. Pretty straightforward there. I'm in Orange County. You can get a hold of me via online, my cell phone number, which you'll share later. We travel down to Ensenada my in-laws live down there full time. We're there once a month, if not more. Get in touch. We can meet for tacos, whatever it looks like, or...
You're pretty accessible is what you're saying.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
Barbers For Baja on Instagram is a good way to find you.
I'd say so, yeah.
And you just got back from San Juanico. How was that trip?
It was awesome. So we were there during the Tormenta. So,
exactly.
Yeah, we skirted into town a day early. So snuck a little surf before the storm hit, hunkered down for a couple days, and we actually scored surf on the back end and couldn't leave because the roads were all washed out, but didn't have anywhere to be. So surf was killer, and our time was always good in San Juanico. Had a killer dinner at the with Matthias at the pizza spot.
Yeah, I was going to say, you saw Matty. He got a great wood-fired pizza in his pizza oven. Yeah,
so that was incredible experience to go to his house and have a full sit-down dinner. We did that our last night before we split out of town, which was really, really killer.
That's... Honestly, in my opinion, that's probably the best pizza I've had in Baja. There's a couple good ones. The La Mision in Loreto, the hotel there, is kind of a famed wood-fired oven pizza. But being at Matty's place, like when I had his pizza, it was out of his mobile pizza truck, this crazy UAZ 4x4 vehicle. But now he's got that permanently set up at his house. And I think that's the beautiful thing about Baja, is that you can really get astonished by whether it could be just roadside machaca burritos or an Italian who loves to surf who built a pizza oven in his house.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of Mexico, is having incredible meals like that. San Juanico was a blast, as always. We always have fun there. And then we headed south down to Cabo from there, and my wife, our daughter, and my brother's wife flew down there and met us for another week in Baja. So we had a killer trip.
And so when you're flying people into Mision, San Juanico, tell me a little bit about that. How does that play out?
So we met them in Cabo.
Uh-huh.
So it was pretty, straightforward for us. They were all in Ensenada at my in-laws' house. So father-in-law took them to the TJ airport. Domestic flight. So,
easy.
Yeah, pretty simple. So 2-hour flight door to door. So that was easy.
And probably not very expensive.
No, definitely. Yeah, we saved a couple bucks going through TJ.
Yeah,
so,
there you go.
I think, and I did, if we can backtrack for a second.
Please.
We were talking a little bit about the application process with the students. One thing that I thought was special to me about it is some of the stories that we heard were, I'm not going to share all of them. Hey, what makes them scholarship worthy, effectively, whether it's financial help, their long list of accomplishments at a young age. Two of them being, which come to find out, this is after the fact, they didn't write this in their application. We met one of the families. Dad's working 7 days a week, works at one of the wineries in the Valle, does that during the day, runs a hot dog cooking business at night, watches a family's house for security, doesn't even sleep at home. So, come to find out that we're able to give him a couple weekends off has been a big, that's what this whole thing's about to me. So, hearing stories like that and they didn't write that out. As you get to know these families, they're letting us a little bit into their lives. That was a big experience. And then one of our other students, Bernardo, his dad had a heart attack. He's alive still, but was completely out of work for a little bit. They didn't even put that in the application. And that would be hey, your family's not working right now. So that's what this whole thing's about. And, come to find out later on that they share these stories with us. And that's how humble these people are of, yes, they're excited and, we're supporting them, but they're very prideful in, accepting help, but also, they don't want to be considered takers. So I think that's a big thing for listeners to know out there, is how truly appreciative everybody is. So.
And Matthew, do you see this going on You're a young guy.
Yeah, 31.
I was going to say you're in your early 30s.
So,
do you see this going on as you next 30 years?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I'm not going to be legacy guy or anything like that, but it would be awesome to keep this thing going for as long as possible. And who knows? I mean, maybe my daughter will take it over one day and it'll be even bigger than what it is. And whether it stays through fundraising at the barbershops or we branch into different avenues. But it's fun. It's been a killer project. And like you said, I'm young and hungry, and we just plan to keep it going. So
you're young and hungry, but I'm going to be honest with you. I see a tiredness in your eyes every time I see you. I don't know if that's having a 2-year-old.
That's the 2-year-old for sure.
Or what. But you're in great shape, and I wish you well, and I'm just astonished at how much you've gotten done in the amount of time that we've been associated. It's just blows me away.
Well, I appreciate it. I definitely, I think part of that being is we are small in regards to our board. Now we do have an official board because we are we will be a 501c. Our board is myself, my wife, a good friend Nick, and our tax lawyer Cass, who's one of my clients. So it's like when it comes to making a decision, it's pretty quick, which as you deal with these huge entities, it could take a week, a month, who knows how long for making something happen. So what's exciting is if we want to jump on something, we jump on it, which is pretty cool.
I can't wait to read the GuideStar rating of Barbers for Baja as a top charity doing great work in Baja. Well, folks, it's Barbers for Baja on Instagram. You can find out about their great works. You'll be able to buy their gift boxes this holiday season from your Southern California barbershop. Probably they're going to be in the Slow Baja store if I can twist Matthew into letting me put them in. So keep an eye out for those. Matthew Schnitzer, it's been a great time here sitting in your backyard. We got a little highway noise going on. I need to roll on up the highway, and I just want to say, hey, thanks again for telling me a little bit about the work you're doing in Baja. Barbers for Boxers. Barbers for Baja, folks. Check them out and do what you can to help support the great work that they're doing. Slow Baja approved. That is a strong Slow Baja approved Barbers for Baja.
Awesome. And thank you, Michael, for having me and letting me share our story and kind of how we're growing things. But as a Baja fan, thank you for what you're doing. I mean, this has been a fun project that you're doing, but it's cool because if there's a place in Baja that I haven't been to and it's on your podcast, it's been fun to add things to my list too. So thank you.
All right. Well, I can't wait for our paths to cross down there, whether it's La Mision or San Juanico or someplace else. But I hope the next time we see each other, it will be in Baja. So thanks again, Matthew, and we'll see you again soon down the road.
Definitely. Thank you.
Have I told you about my friend True Miller? You've probably heard the podcast, but let me tell you, her vineyard, Adobe Guadalupe Winery, is spectacular. From the breakfast at her communal table, bookended to an intimate dinner at night, their house-bred Azteca horses, Solomon the horseman, will get you on a ride that'll just change your life. The food, the setting, the pool, it's all spectacular. AdobeGuadalupe.com. For appearing on Slow Baja today, our guest will receive the beautiful Benchmark Map 72-page Baja Road and Recreation Atlas. Do not go to Baja without this, folks. You never know when your GPS is going to crap out, and you're going to want a great map in your lap. Trust me.
Well, I hope you found that conversation inspirational. I certainly did, and it really is moving me to get my Slow Baja Foundation ideas moving forward. Matthew and his wife, Jesse, I don't know if you heard the flub in the intro where I mentioned Jesse and his wife. Matthew and his wife, Jesse, and their beautiful daughter, they really have a deep affinity for Baja. Obviously, Jesse's parents are down there full-time. They spend an awful lot of time there. I strongly suggested that they take a year while Logan's still in preschool and move down there full-time. But it touches me that people can have these ideas, that they can act on these ideas, and then they can really make significant, stunning changes in several people's lives. I mean, sending kids to college is an amazing thing, having just put 3 through college myself. And I'm really touched that they figured it out and they did it. So Barbers for Baja, if you can help them out financially, buy a gift box, make a donation. You heard all the locations to give there. So if you like what I'm doing, well, you can give to me too. I'm not too proud. You can drop a taco in my tank, folks. The Slow Baja store is closed, and it will be closed for a bit. I don't know if I'll get it open before Christmas. Sadly, that's all due to my move. All that stuff is in storage, and I am not where that stuff is, so I can't get it out. But I've got some stickers, and if you drop a taco in the tank, I can certainly send a sticker out and send you a note and say thanks, and I really do appreciate it. So, well, I'll be back next week with something fun, and to paraphrase Baja lover Steve McQueen, Baja is life. Everything that happens before or after is just waiting.